we back with another one. And today we got to talk about Coach Prime a little bit and St. John's head men's basketball coach and NCAA, well, actually just basketball legend because he coached at both levels, Rick Pitino. And we're going to talk about something he did that was similar to Coach Prime. And then he said why he didn't take Coach Prime's approach in the portal. And also we have Jackson State head coach T.C. Taylor actually giving Prime props. And I think that's important because a lot of people and a lot of individuals around the program or just within the HBCU community has kind of written Prime off for taking the Colorado job when they said, you know, God had brought him to Jackson State. And then when they came with more money, they think he just bolted for the money, as if that's a bad thing to do in your career. You know, I understand, you know, people wanted him to stay, but T.C. Taylor talked about the overall impact Prime had. But first, we're going to check out what Prime said, what Rick Pitino said, and then we're going to look at the rest of it. Let's peep.
Uniforms may not even look like they look now. The cleats, I guarantee it's going to be some special. I'm coming. We got a few positions already taken care of because I'm bringing my luggage with me. And it's Louis. Okay. It ain't gonna be no more of the mess that these wonderful fans, the student body, and some of your parents have put up with.
What is your message to these current St. John's players as you will bring in others to try to build this team that can contend?
Well, the one thing I want to be honest with, a lot of players probably won't be back on this team because they're probably not a good fit for me. With me, I think my players love playing for me, even from Mark Jackson and Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley. I spoke with Oak last night. They love playing for me with the Knicks. But it takes a certain type of basketball player to want to play for me. He's got to be a total over-the-top in love with the game of basketball. And if you're not, it's just a bad fit with me. It doesn't work. So there'll be a lot of players that will move on to, I hope, greener pastures. Joel's the type of person that I want to build around, and that's why I asked him to come today. I have to meet some of the other young men, but there'll be other guys that don't fit. It'll be a round peg in a square hole, and it won't work.
When we look at this team behind us as they're practicing, for anybody that's watching, that's followed anything about college football, they talk about Colorado and Deion Sanders transforming the entire roster. You've got 10 transfers, 2 freshmen, completely different, and you get to shape it. What have you been preaching to this team over the last couple months before the season?
Well, you didn't make me. You're not going to. No, it was tough, but the difference between Deion had a lot of players that weren't ready to play at that level. I had really good players at St. John's. Mike Anderson did a tremendous job recruiting. I just wanted a whole different culture. But the guys that were here, they could play.
Whereas I hear other schools talking about they can't wait for today, the transfer portal, they can't wait to go out. I can't wait to coach my guys. Let me tell you that. I'm not thinking about anybody else other than this team that's out here. So
also you have Jackson State's head football coach, T.C. Taylor, and it was the person Deion announced, you know, right before that bowl game that he had high praise for it. And what he had to say about Coach Prime and his impact at Jackson State when he talked to The Athletic, he said, you can't just ignore what he did while he was here. The guy came in and did a great job. A lot of media attention that we're drawing is because of Deion Sanders. You can't just write off the 3 seasons we had while he was here. And he goes on and he says, the groundwork has been set the last couple years. These fans expect us to win, and these players expect us to win. That's the way we prepared from training camp throughout the summer. We wanted to come out here and be dominant. We know teams are going to play their best when we play them. So, T.C. Taylor has some high words, some high marks for Coach Prime, and he just kind of, reset the tone of like what people are saying about his legacy at Jackson State. We keep Jackson State in our mouth, and it's kind of linked to Colorado for the time being, just with Prime, coming from over there. because it was so much controversy with him leaving. So it's still attention on the program. What I will say is Rick Pitino, I want to focus in more on what he was saying. Shout out to T.C. Taylor, for giving his guy some high marks. But when we talk about what Rick Pitino said, he's absolutely right. Whenever you take over a program, and sometimes it ain't the fact that people can't play at the level you like. You may be trying to do something totally different with your roster. So asking guys to go in the transfer portal when they bring in a new coach, I don't know if it's fair 100% when you've already been recruited there. You gave the program your word that that's where you're going to be for 4 years. But at the same time, you come in knowing certain programs are going to have a coaching change, right? Only teams you could kind of say in college basketball won't gonna have any movement. You start talking about when Coach K was still at Duke, when Roy Williams was at Carolina, Jim, back in the days when Jim Calhoun was at UConn. You got to think about coaches like that, right? Leonard Hamilton's going to be at Florida State. Those type of coaches. A lot of them ain't moving, but, you have to look at it like that and make your decision. Otherwise, you might be subject to, being in the midst of a coaching change. And so the person that recruited you may not be there no more. And, Rick Pitino wanted to bring in his guys. You saw he got the former North Carolina commit Simeon Wilcher. Whenever Carolina signed Elliot Cadeau, he moved on over to the St. John's. And, so he wanted to move the roster around a little bit. And this is going viral because people are saying Rick Pitino, back in March, he said the same thing that Coach Prime said, and it wasn't this big outcry about it. And Rick Pitino goes on and says that he had guys that could play at the level. You know what I'm saying? And Coach Prime didn't. So that really matters when they hire a person, they're hiring like a standard. And I know they say you're a student athlete until you're not winning, and then they looking for athlete students. Yeah, so you see Rick Pitino just being understanding of what Coach Prime's talking about. You also see TC Taylor giving him some love, man. I want to share that with you guys, and I want to know what you think about it in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, peace.